What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Plus Added Time here on Project Dits. As always, it is 0-0, and I am Nathan, but with is Darragh. Darragh, how you doing? You
brilliant.
Both miserable.
Oh no, I'm brilliant. We've beaten, the most informed team of the week so far. Technically, if you want to get technical, top of the world. And by top of the world, I mean 7th. But improvement.
You notice the joyful tones in Dara's voice are because we are recording this before Liverpool face Chelsea.
So just edit that out, please, if it doesn't go well.
Yeah, if we lose, we're gonna actually record a second intro just in case you lost.
Oh no! What was going on? What was Alisson playing at?
Oh, Darragh, I can't believe that Kurt Zuma scored a hat-trick. Just covering our bases.
What are the odds? Yeah. Actually, one thing quickly, I'm not sure if you were watching the Sheffield United game, but Alisson was missing for the game. But the commentator would have you believe otherwise, Nathan. I don't know if you were listening. He must have said Alisson instead of Adrian every single time Adrian touched the ball.
Oh, did Adrian miss the ball?
No.
He just assumed.
That's Alisson. No, I don't know. It was actually annoying me, and I'm not one to get annoyed very easily when it comes to something like that. But a certain degree of professionalism. You could say hypocrite alert, but professional. Do you know what I mean? Anyways, I'll go into speaking of professionalism. I'll go into last week's trivia question, Nathan, which was
go for it.
Until 1989, Real Sociedad only signed players born in or developed in the Basque region of Spain. The signing of which player broke this unwritten rule? Nathan, any ideas?
I didn't have a clue about this one, and as always, I didn't Google it or anything, so I've just been on tenterhooks waiting for the answer. I don't even have an educated guess.
Yeah, obviously it's a player that people are going to know, because if it wasn't, that would kind of defeat the purpose of the trivia question. It's actually John Aldrich. John Aldrich moved from Liverpool to Real Sociedad in 1989. Very strange one, isn't it?
Wow, that is a really weird one.
Of all not that he was a bad player, but of all the players to break probably nearly a century-old rule, it's strange you picked John Aldrich to do it.
It makes me think there must have been some kind of nothing shady, but he must have had a good agent.
The original Fabio Borini, I think, is what he's known as around Liverpool.
Jeez.
I don't know why I said that. I like John Aldrich. I saw him once. He was kind of hanging out of a car window. Very similar to Harry Redknapp.
I can't believe that Fabio Borini was still at AC Milan for so long.
He probably still is. He's probably at Real Madrid next week.
Well, they might have to sign people like Fabio Borini. given we won't go into that because it's still working its way through the court system. Feel free to Google Barcelona Real Madrid court case and give yourself an interesting read.
Barcelona have got more than a few court cases going on at the minute. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. I had no idea that Neymar had to pay Barcelona money a couple of years ago for something to do with his transfer.
I didn't hear anything about that.
Yeah, it's the wrong podcast for legal issues in football.
Yeah, it got very deep. Well, will we go a bit lighter, Nathan? And we'll start off with just something quick fire to get you into the mood for the show. So, Nathan, I'm going to give you some quick fire questions, which is basically a very fast would you rather. That's essentially what I've done here.
Okay.
So these are going to be rapid fire. I want your first gut instinct, no thinking about it.
Okay, I would kiss.
Okay, what? Okay, I don't know what you said there. Okay, Nathan, here we go. Who is better, Ronaldo or Messi?
Ronaldo.
Yes or no, goalkeepers should only be allowed to wear the number 1 and 13 jersey?
Absolutely, yes.
Who do you prefer, Giggs or Scholes?
Giggs.
Who do you hate more, Liverpool or Man City?
Man City.
Who has had a better management career, Pep or Jose?
Jose.
Yes or no, Norwich City had no reason to have an away jersey from 2011 to 2014?
Yes.
VAR, in or out?
Out.
Players going down with minimal contact in the box isn't a big deal to you, yes or no?
Yes, it is a big deal.
Steven Gerrard's title win with the Rangers is not being discussed as much as it should be, yes or no?
No.
Jose Mourinho or Louis van Gaal?
Jose Mourinho.
Clubs without European football shouldn't be allowed to have third kits.
Ooh, no, they shouldn't.
And finally, Barcelona aren't a historic club, and without Messi, they're pretty irrelevant.
Ooh, I'm going to go no to that. I don't think that's true.
Very good. I think you did good. Not that there's actually an answer for any of them, but I thought you did pretty well.
Yeah, the Pep Jose one, although I'll answer quite quickly, that's quite a tough one upon reflection because Pep is on this crazy winning run at the minute. But I think it's the Champions Leagues with Inter and Porto, the Porto one in particular.
Yeah. Even the treble at Inter was pretty remarkable, I remember at the time.
They've not won the league since, I think I read earlier.
No, Milan won it season after, and then Juventus won it every season since, yeah.
Mad, and that might all end. Inter Milan, who've had an interesting week as well. Did you see that the owners of Inter Milan also own the Chinese Super League champions? But they've just shut the club down.
Yes, I did see that, yes.
And then in the same week, apparently, they've missed their most recent payment for Lukaku in the agreement. They've not paid it. So that's going to be one to keep an eye on as well.
Do you want to know another thing that came out from Inter Milan during the week? After this season, Pirelli will no longer be the shirt sponsor for Inter Milan. After 27 years. So
what is happening at Inter Milan? I think that's going to be something to get into in a couple of weeks
Look,
or
Nathan,
so.
I don't want to point fingers, but I'm blaming Ashley Young.
I think it's the Ashley Young with hair that appeared after lockdown, and I think Pirelli looked at that. Not that he's a bad-looking man at all. I just think they then felt like we don't want Pirelli on that.
Nathan's views do not necessarily reflect anyone.
I've got nothing against Ashley. Ashley was a good player for Man United. He got far too much stick for becoming a winger who then had to play at fullback, and then everyone was like, "He's a shit fullback." You're like, "Well, yeah, because he's not a fullback."
Yeah, he was there for a very long time. He seemed to be knocking about for ages.
Well, I think he came in. Oh, I'm gonna go with the 10-11 season.
11-12.
Oh, I'm glad you're here. The stat man.
Of course.
One away, but I think he's a good player for United. He did well. He scored a couple of bangers, cutting him from the left on his right foot. Everyone assumes he's left-footed.
Yeah, no, he is right-footed, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, he is, but he can still swing a good ball in. I think he was a good player for United. I think he got a lot of unnecessary stick. I think one thing I remember him most for is when we signed Angel Di Maria, and then Di Maria went down injured / he just was pissing about. And then he couldn't get back in the side because Ashley Young was playing so well at left wing.
Beautiful.
which is always funny. I always found it weird, and I don't know why we got into an Ashley Young tangent, but Ashley Young, he's a good winger. He's really quick. So if you're going to play him at fullback, you're going to have to play wing backs if you want to get the best out of him. But we would always play him as a defensive fullback, which he's not a fullback for starters.
Yeah, Louis van Gaal made some questionable decisions during his time.
He did, and he fell on the floor in protest when we were beating Arsenal.
I absolutely loved it. I think that could be one of my favourite, I mean, maybe not like top 5, but I'd say top like 20 favourite Premier League moments.
It's got to be up there. But should we get the most recent football talk out of the way? Because me and Darragh, we're going back and forth a little bit, and we decided to save our main conversation about Man United's approach to the Chelsea game for the podcast, because we were going a little bit. Darragh was like, "I'm not going to say anything else until we're on the podcast." I think what he was actually saying is, "I'm busy. Go away, Nathan."
I mean, that's how I worded it. You just must have mistook what I was saying.
I read between the lines and I was like, "Oh, he just wants to save it for the podcast."
Nathan, I'm trying to go to sleep. Will you stop texting me?
Yeah, it's 4 a.m. I'm ringing you and I'm like, "Look, it was Stamford Bridge."
Well, I think the first question to just go with straight away is thoughts. I mean, we're a couple of days removed from it. What are your thoughts right now of getting a point at Stamford Bridge?
First, I think there's been a tad not disrespect towards Chelsea, but they've kind of got away with it a little bit here because all the talk is about United because United are second at the minute and Chelsea aren't. Like Chelsea under Thomas Tuchel haven't lost a game yet. I think I'm right. I think their draw against Wolves in like his first game is the only blemish on his record at the minute. Until Andrew Robertson scores a hat trick, of course. But so we are going away to Stamford Bridge. We also are going there without our best striker in Edison Cavani. We're going there without Paul Pogba. Van der Beek, although he hasn't played, he wasn't going to play anyway. But so I don't even know why I'm bringing it up. But he was just back from injury as well. So, and we started with a front three of Marcus Rashford, spectacular season. Mason Greenwood, who's been lost a little bit of late for various reasons, whether it's injury or things that have happened off the pitch, and Dan James, who is the best Welshman in the Premier League right now. But you look at that and you go, oh dear. There's not going to be a lot of goals from United, is there? Like Marcus Rashford is playing really, really well. He's having a good season scoring wise. It's kind of flown under the radar a little bit. But Chelsea are putting out their best side. Like they got Giroud, they had Mason Mount. Like I know Havertz and Werner are nowhere. They're having bad seasons, but they wouldn't get into Chelsea's best 11 at the minute anyway.
Yeah,
because they're rubbish. They're putting out essentially their full strength side, and we aren't. And like the handball thing, you can go either way on it. By letter of the law, it was a handball. We should have had a penalty, but they obviously were having none of it.
Well,
or whatever.
Harry Maguire didn't think so.
Yeah, well, he's just being polite. He just didn't want Luke Shaw to get in trouble, I think. he was just trying to temper it down. But I don't think a point at Stamford Bridge at any stage of the season, no matter who you are, is a bad result. And I think it got treated like a massive failure. And I don't really understand why all of a sudden getting a point at Stamford Bridge is bad when we could have. Like we had a few chances. We had the best chances of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it, and if I'm being honest, I was very bored by the match. I actually predicted 0-0 beforehand. So I kind of saw it coming, because I remember the reverse fixture at Old Trafford also finished 0-0, didn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't. Our approach to the big games, and that's the other thing. And I don't just want this to be me ranting at the things people have said, but this is the thing is that all season, United have been heavily criticised for the way we've defended. And the defence at times has been shocking. Like the Besiktas one is the one that everyone remembers. I know I can't say their name, but I'm just rolling with it now.
I got I'll allow you.
It was horrendous. There's been some other absolute clangers as well.
Spurs and Istanbul are the two that spring to mind for me.
They are. They were awful, and somehow we've managed to make the defence more solid. At the sacrifice of our ability to score goals.
Brilliant. Welcome to our world, Nathan.
What has happened there is beyond belief.
you don't score goals. That's what we do. Except we usually lose the matches, and you don't.
The other thing's weird is that, like, I'll get your thoughts on the Chelsea game before I move on, because I'm about to say something that isn't completely relevant. Like, what did you think of the way United approached the game?
I was a bit, what am I trying to say? Confused, I guess, when Bailly was on the bench and he wasn't starting. Because I feel Bailly, it's just been better than Lindelof when he's played. I could be wrong.
You're not completely wrong with that. The thing with Bailly is...
Completely.
No, the thing with Bailly is historically, he's a much more athletic defender than Maguire or Lindelof. Like, Lindelof and Maguire are kind of... Like Maguire in particular is, although he's had some bad spells this season with mistakes, he's a good passer with the ball. He's better on the ball, but Bailly's more athletic and is quicker. But the thing with Bailly is he's never, in his entire time at United, which is actually a surprisingly long time when you look at it, time has flown by with him. But he's never played more than 7 games in a row.
I thought you were going to say in a season.
No, he's never played more than 7 games in a row before getting injured.
I can top that. Naby Keita, 6.
Yeah. It was the thing where Bailly played 3 games in a row earlier this season, and that was the first time since 2015. I think it was, no, I think it was 2016. He'd played 3 games in a row.
Actually, you're talking about Eric Bailly injuries, and I remember it was Villarreal he signed him from because we played them in the Europa League, and he missed the second leg of that game injured as well. So it's definitely been a consistent problem, hasn't it, throughout his entire time?
It has been, and it's hindered him massively. I've got in the background, I've got Fulham v Tottenham on, and something really weird has just happened with a free kick. I've no anyway. When I work out what's happened, I'll explain. But Bale's just taken it, and then the refs pulled it back for some reason, and Bale is retaking the free kick. Okay, when they say what happened, but yeah, you're not wrong. In the Palace game last night, we looked. I think other than the final second where Van Aanholt had a chance, got a one-on-one with Henderson, we were absolutely banging defensively the entire game. It was just everywhere else on the pitch. We were shocking.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's a bit of an overreaction again because haven't you only lost like 1 in 21 or something stupid like that?
We're unbeaten. We're unbeaten in 21 now away from home.
That's the one I'm thinking of, which is ludicrous. Can I just say that must be nearly up there with.
Apparently, they did put a thing up on the app, but I didn't check it. The Man United app about who that ranks them up with. Like we're approaching, like proper record territory with away games.
Because that's over a season, 19 away games in a season, and you've done 21. So that must be up there with the Invincibles.
Yeah, I think we've only lost in the last 12 months in the league. We've only lost, I think it's four games, or maybe the Sheffield United one was our 5th game we've lost in 12 months, which is mental. It's just been too many draws.
Yeah.
Far too many. But there you go. So I think the Chelsea one, I just think like if you draw tonight with Chelsea, would you see that as a horrendous result?
It wouldn't be the end of the world, but I wouldn't be impressed. I'd expect us to win with. We've lost so many games.
Given you're at Anfield, so let's flip reverse it slightly to do blazing squad on you. But if the game was at Stamford Bridge tonight and you drew,
we always win at Stamford Bridge.
All right, let me finish my question.
Yeah,
Say you weren't Liverpool. If you drew at Stamford Bridge, it's not a great result, and that's because of the caliber of club that Liverpool and United are. You would be disappointed. You're disappointed with a draw, no matter what. Like unless you go away to the Bernabeu, like you're going to be disappointed with a draw.
Yeah,
but I just don't understand why Stamford Bridge, Selhurst Park, on the other hand, United, we should be winning that game, and we probably would have won that game 9. If we played that game another 9 times, we'd probably win.
Yeah, I think with the Chelsea game, sorry to bring it back to it, I don't think it's the Chelsea game necessarily that everyone's reacting so much. I think it's because so many games this season against, again, the so-called Big Six, which is a bit misleading because that doesn't take into account Leicester, Villa or West Ham. For some reason, Arsenal are counted in that. I don't know why. But you've only scored, I think it's 1 all season, and that was in the 6-1 defeat against Tottenham.
Yeah, so that is
pretty shambolic.
It is, and it's like a reverse of last season, whereas last season we would lose to the sides at the bottom of the table, which is ironic to say because we literally did lose to the side at the bottom of the table this season. But we would draw or lose those games and everything like that. But then we'd come up against Man City and we'd win home and away, which is what we did. Or we'd come up against Chelsea and we'd win home and away. Or we'd get a draw against a near unbeatable Liverpool side, or something like that. But then we'd lose to Crystal Palace and sides like that. So it's been a funny old season. I do think part of it has to do with how congested the season's become. So which means that every side is having a bit of a blip, but our blip, to our credit, doesn't see us losing too many games.
Yeah, it's again, it's not the worst blip, and I think obviously you can't really account for City going on. Is it 21 games in all competitions in a row winning?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's just it feels a bit similar this season to 17-18 under Mourinho in a way, with City so far in front and ye second. And
Yeah.
you just need to be winning even like one or two of those games that you've drawn this season against the top six, we'll say.
Yeah.
Or indeed a lot more than that, actually, to catch up with City. But I think
We would.
Ollie would get much more of an easier ride. I think he gets too much criticism. And again, Ollie out, I've no idea why. I don't know why that's a thing at all. Because I think he's done reasonably well. I think the team that he took over to now is night and day.
We're much better than the side that Jose took us to second with. We're a better side. We're fresher. Like, we got some X factor in us, although that X factor has been missing for the last couple of games. And I know it's been 3-0 draws in a row, which I would like to take issue with people including the Real Sociedad one in that and being like, oh look, they drew 0-0 with Real Sociedad. We were 4-0 up. Like,
get them out.
What do you want? Like, we're 4-0 out. It's a horrible midweek Thursday game, which is our own fault that we're playing on Thursdays. I'm not using that as an excuse because we're the ones to blame. But we were 4-0 up, guys. Like, and I think the only issue that I would have at the minute, other than the 0-0 with Crystal Palace, is ridiculous. Like, I'm not happy with that. It's a bad performance. One thing I would say, very random point, it's a horrible, misty, foggy evening. Why did we decide to wear the zebra stripes? Can't fucking see anything.
We mustn't forget it's been raining.
Yeah. Why would you look at a fog and go, you know what, I'm only going to wear white?
Should have got the invisible kit out from 95, 96 or whatever.
Yeah, no, what we should have done is 2 seasons ago when we had that bright pink one. Let's get that out. We had to see everything. But so the main concern for me is Bruno Fernandes. He's played so much football. Yeah, I know he's an Iron Man. He's said it in interviews that he's pissed off when he doesn't when Ollie tries to rest him for games. Like, he wants to be playing. That's the indication he gives of it. But
I think as a coach, you can't
at some point. Yeah. And the problem is that Van der Beek hasn't worked out. So he was going to be kind of the guy who could slot in at 10, and it's not going incredibly well. And Paul Pogba's out, who could move up to 10. And like, Juan Mata doesn't really have that X factor I'm talking about in his game at the minute. Like, that might sound a bit disrespectful to him because he's been a great player in total, not just at United. Yeah. But still, there's no one there to fill that void. Like, we'd have to change systems. Yeah, which doesn't really work for us. Like, because we can't play our only other midfielders other than Bruno Fernandes at the minute, Matic, Fred, and Mctominay. And they're all defensive midfielders.
You just need a bit more creativity, don't you?
You need someone else. And I don't know why Van der Beek wasn't on the bench last night. He was for the Chelsea game, but he didn't come on, and he had been injured. So hopefully he's not injured again or something. But at that point, you just got to look and you got to go, look, we're going to have to rest a guy. Let's either change systems or give a youngster a chance. Like, we've got some players in there. We've seen them lately. I can't remember you said a guy's name, but Shoretia, or however you say that, like 17-year-olds. Or I know Amad Diallo has been getting minutes here and there, so I don't know if he can play in the centre of the park. I know he's meant to be kind of more of a winger. Yeah. But
imagine if the lack of recovery for Bruno led to him getting an injury.
Yeah, it would.
It would suck,
then. And it'd be horrendous for us. Like, it'd be a bigger miss than Pogba. I think Pogba has been a miss, which people perhaps didn't expect at the start of the season.
Yeah,
he has his dynamic ability to move from attack to defense to attack is only really matched. Like, the only other player we've got in the midfield who can do that, and people that probably don't watch him play too often are going to kind of scoff at this, is Scott McTominay. But even he's been injured recently. He missed a game, only a game because he's a fucking warrior. And then he's back, but he wasn't at full fitness at all. But when he made it on, him and Dan James, when Dan James came on against Palace, only for like the final 15 minutes, but that changed things
Yeah.
weirdly. And he came on for Cavani. Cavani, who's also been injured. So
Yeah.
I'm talking to a Liverpool fan about injuries, which seems like you must be getting out the world's tiniest violin for me. But but it when it's those key players like a
Yeah.
Van Dijk, it changes things when they're at the side.
Yeah. Will I wrap this up with a fun little stat?
Go
Few
for it.
stats for you. So, after 27 Premier League games this season, Manchester United have 51 points. Under Jose Mourinho in 17-18, they had 56 points, so they were 5 points better off. And under Louis van Gaal in 2014-15, they were 1 point closer to the top of the table than they currently are. Do you want Louis van Gaal back in charge, Nathan? Is that what you're saying?
I don't. I think, although, yeah, that doesn't reflect well on me saying that we're a better side now than we were under Jose Mourinho at all.
Yeah.
But I think under Jose Mourinho, we still had some great players in the side, which those players that we're a much younger side now. But do you think we're a better side now than under Jose?
Well, you see, I'd usually watch you when it came to, because you used to, from memory again, but you used to, at the start of the season, you were smashing teams like 4-0 that season, I think. And
Yeah.
you went away to City and you won, but then was a draw or lose to West Brom the next week. So it was a bit of a weird one. I think you're more consistent in a way now because you do just seem to beat all the lesser teams and then just draw with the tops. It's pretty predictable. Is that answered your question?
It has in a way. I just think defensively we didn't make the signings that we wanted in the summer. I think that's pretty clear. And we spent most of the summer fannying about trying to get Jadon Sancho, and then obviously with the pandemic and everything that changed the finances, and we just didn't bring in the players that we wanted. And I think that will change this summer. I think we are 100% going to sign a central defender. I think that might be, if anything, that might be the only signing we make is just signing a central defender. At the minute, and I know no one asked, but I'd probably sit down and try and renew Cavani for another season and then to spend the entire summer budget on someone to be alongside Harry Maguire. And I'd probably get rid of Lindelof.
Let Lindelof leave, yeah.
I think you got to let one of them leave because
it's not going to be Maguire.
There's been some clangers from them, and that's a word that I'm using a lot. Been some mistakes, is what I mean by that. For anyone that's like, why the fuck is he talking about that 60s kids show? But
too old. I don't know what that is.
I'm not. The Clangers. It was like a show about weird pink aliens on the moon, but it's super old. And
go on.
Yeah, I think that there's been a few mistakes in them, although when you look at them statistically, they're probably not a bad defensive partnership, but we just need someone else. And you're right, it's not going to be Maguire who goes because he costs more, he's an England player, and he's the captain.
You say captain.
Did you see the video of him and Rashford from the Palace game?
Loved it.
Oh, it's hilarious. For those that haven't seen it, Maguire tries to kick the ball forward, but Rashford was offside, and then you just hear Maguire go, Rashy! And Rashford turns around and goes, what did you want me? What the fuck were you expecting me to do? Fuck off.
Proper playground stuff. I think, didn't Rashford call Maguire a knobhead or something, which I love.
Oh yeah, he said fuck him knobhead or something.
I love that. Which is better than slaphead.
But Darragh, if you've not seen it, at a time of recording about 15 minutes ago, before we got into this, the lineups got released for Liverpool, Chelsea.
I'm scared. Well, I haven't looked at it now. I'll say what I think it should be first.
Okay, go for it.
And it's the best way to do it. So I know Alisson's back in goal, and I hope. Well, he's meant to be back in goal. I don't know for certain.
He is back in goal.
Yeah.
So we'll say Alisson's back in goal, and then if you list us what you want the lineup to be.
Okay, so what I would want would be, and again, I know Fabinho's back. So Fabinho at centre back, I'd have him at centre back over defensive midfield. I think it's too much of a risk to play Kabak and Phillips against Chelsea, and I'd much rather Phillips over Kabak at the minute. Kabak is taking a bit of time to adjust, and then Trent and Robbo at fullback. Am I right?
You're not. The only one you got wrong is the one that you were saying
It's
you'd rather
Kabak,
have
isn't it?
Phillips. So it's
Brilliant.
Allison, Robertson, Kabak, Fabinho, Trent Alexander-Arnold. Who would you want as the midfield three? I think you're going
Um,
to get this spot on.
yeah, I mean, I don't think it's changed in the last like 20 million games. It's going to be Gini Wijnaldum, Thiago, and Curtis Jones.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
And then the front three we don't even need to discuss because we know who it is.
Yep.
But yeah, so for those that didn't keep up with that, it's Allison, and then from left to right, it's Robertson, Kabak, Fabinho, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Curtis Jones, Gini Wijnaldum, Thiago, Mane, Firmino, Salah. The good news for you guys is Tuchel is falling into the trap of being a Chelsea manager that doesn't play Giroud.
Oh, brilliant.
So the Chelsea lineup, for those that haven't watched the game, but I'm going to get your reaction to it anyway. Mendy in goal, Aspilicueta, Christensen, Rudiger. Nothing to worry about there. Chilwell, Jorginho, Kante, Reece James, Mount, and Ziyech. Ziyech? Don't know how you say his name.
Ziyech, yeah, I don't know.
Ziyech behind Werner. Yeah, why is Giroud not playing when you're defensively frail?
Why is Timo Werner on the pitch?
Because that's Tuchel's only job, is to get the best out of Werner.
No.
But let's move on, because for this time we like to talk about some of the kind of the niche weird stuff that's happened in football before, and sometimes you get some really weird people playing with some other weird people, weird teammates.
Ooh,
so I've gone back through the plethora of footballing history that there is of the last about 25 years, and found some unusual teammates that you might not expect, but some of them I've changed and aren't true. So would you like to play true or false? Were these people teammates?
Yeah, well, yes. If I was to say no, that would kind of...
It would really ruin the podcast. So, Darragh, were they teammates? Pep Guardiola and Totti?
Good Lord.
Because I know Totti.
I know Pep went to, I think it was Brescia in Italy. Oh, did Pep play for Roma? Why do I feel like he might have? I'm going to say yes. Yeah, that sounds about right. I was
about to say, when it's Francesco Totti, that is literally really what I'm asking. Is did Pep play for Roma?
Did he play for Italy? That's the question.
Yes, you're right. Pep Guardiola and Francesco Totti were teammates.
Yeah, God.
Moving on, Manchester United legend Rio Ferdinand and I guess Manchester City legend Richard Dunn.
Yes, QPR.
That
14-15
QPR squad.
Stephen Colker, the third centre back. What a good Lord! What a horrific! What a horrific choice that is.
Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Steven Pienaar.
Yeah, Ajax.
Oh, he's right in there. He's good at this, guys. He's good at this. They were indeed teammates. Marco Reus and Chris Samba.
See, I only know Chris Samba was at QP. Did he play for Blackburn as well? Actually, QPR and Anzi, and Royce was at Mönchengladbach and Dortmund. I don't think they ever crossed paths, did they?
They never crossed paths, but Marco Reus was a teammate with Everton striker Josh King.
Yeah, that's one of those weird ones I've heard before. Yeah.
Wilfred Zaha and Edgar Davids.
Yes. Oh, wait, did they play at the same time? Yeah, I think so. Edgar Davids was at Palace, I remember, in like 2012.
He was indeed. You are right again. Wilfred Zaha and Edgar Davids were at Crystal Palace together. Weird one.
Yeah.
Aubameyang and Timothy Fosu-Mensah.
I have absolutely no idea. Aubameyang was at Dortmund before Dortmund was Saint Etienne. And before that, he was at AC Milan as well, actually, Aubameyang, wasn't he? Fosu-Mensah. Didn't he come through the United Academy? I'm going to say no, they didn't play together.
They did not play together, but he did play with Kurt Zouma at Saint Etienne.
Yes.
Ronaldinho and Maurizio Pochettino.
Straight away, I know this one is because it's PSG, because Pochettino played with Diego Maradona and Marouane Chamakh. which is one of those weird ones I know.
He also apparently Ronaldinho played more with Pochettino at PSG than about I think 3 other players in his career, in his entire career, which is a weird one.
That's a bit weird, yeah.
Yeah, I know Gabriel Hines was on that list as well. It's like he's played with Gabriel Hines more than like so many other people. And the last one for you, which it's David Beckham and David Moyes. Yeah, he knows it. That's a weird one for people. When David Beckham went on loan to Preston North End in I think 94-95 season or 95-96, one of those.
Sounds all right.
David Moyes was a player at Preston North End. You smashed that.
Yeah.
Turns out you're good at this.
Pretty good. I don't have much of a social life, as you can tell. Not at the minute, definitely not.
There's some other weird ones that I found, like Yaya Toure and Rivaldo.
Olympiacos?
Yeah, Olympiacos. That's weird because I just didn't think. You never think the timelines are going to match up. Like Ronaldinho, Maurizio Pochettino. I know Pochettino was a great player in his day, but David Beckham and David Moyes surprised me. I didn't know that before I saw it, and I was like, no way.
I'm trying to think of like a really random one off the top of my head. I don't know, something like Nicholas Anelka and Gary McAllister would be a weird one. I think it's obvious where they met, but
they met on a night out.
You asked Nicholas if he could choose one player to take on a date. Where would he take Gary Mack?
Oh, well, Darragh, what else have you got for us this week?
It's a good question. I don't think I do. Do I?
Well, I've got something for you.
Perfect.
I've got a nice little pyramid. I've got a nice little tier for you.
Oh, okay.
And the tier it's a nice, easy pyramid, but it's going to get some opinions from you, and that's really what I'm looking for.
Oh no!
So it's all about politics. No, it's not. It's just underrated, bang on, or overrated. That's where you've got to put the following players.
Oh no, I'm so scared.
Martin Skrtel.
I think I'd say bang on. I don't think he was overrated. I think he got into the Premier League Team of the Year one season, which is pretty good going. And if not, then it was FIFA I'm thinking of. But like he had a FIFA card. I'm not saying, yeah. He was good. He had an ever-present season in the Premier League, which is pretty tough to do for any player, considering the amount of options we had. Yeah, I'd go bang on.
Okay, bang. I think Martin Skrtel, my memory of him is one Peter Crouch telling the story about when he played against Skrtel at international level.
Yeah.
Skrtel would put his studs on his thigh to elevate himself up to try and compete for headers with Peter Crouch. And Peter Crouch he was playing it for Liverpool at the time, so he was like, "Come on, mate, calm it down." And he said, "Oh, sorry, mate," and he just did it again immediately.
Yeah. Do you know in the 13-14 season he scored 7 goals for Liverpool and I think 4 against, which must be some weird stat or some record or something. I think he had a very drastic decline. He was sort of starting centre back, and then just the latter stages of Rodgers, and then under Klopp in particular, he just plummeted. The last good memory I have is the goal he scored away at City. He just smashes it in, but that entire season he was hopeless.
Well, I think once he met Anthony Martial, he then just left the Premier League. I don't remember ever seeing him play again after that.
He's isolated Skrtel here. No. Skrtel's isolated himself.
He's isolated Skrtel here, and Skrtel's dead. It's like he just left him in his arse. That was like the first thing Martial did for United as well. God, and that was also the best thing he's ever done for United. Yep. He's got a hat trick at some point. But Djibril Cissé.
Okay, I'm noticing the theme here.
Oh no, we get off Liverpool players in a second.
All right. Again, I don't think I'd go with overrated because I don't think he's very highly rated, and he was. That makes me sound really mean. He was unlucky with injuries. I think he had 2 broken legs in his 2 seasons at Liverpool. But I remember if you take into account inflation, I think the amount of money we paid for him at the time in modern day money, and this is about 2 or 3 years ago, was like 40 million, and we sold him for like barely anything. So bang on, I guess.
Hang on again. I'm going to go with a bit more of a left field one, and one that always comes up in debates about things like this. It's Michael Carrick.
Straight away underrated, just because I think we had this discussion before of how he has so few England caps. I think just shows he could have been part of most of those England teams in the mid to late 2000s. And I don't remember, I mean, I could, again, completely wrong. I'm not the biggest England fan, obviously, but I don't remember him ever, like, properly starting a tournament. Again, I could be wrong.
I don't think he ever really did. The thing with Michael Carrick, and it's actually something that Pep said not long ago, is that defensive midfielders just do the job that no one ever talks about.
Yeah.
And the best defensive midfielders, they're almost like a great referee in that you just don't notice them.
Yeah, pretty much.
They're just there doing what they do. When you look at Michael Carrick in terms of England career, he got 34 caps, and those were across 14 years. And there were a good few years where he just didn't get any. Like his first 2 caps came in 2001, and he didn't play for England again until 2005.
Ooh.
Like, bear in mind, he joined Man United in 2006.
Yes.
So even when he was at West Ham then. So like when he was doing great things, he was a consistent starter for West Ham.
He's from Newcastle, isn't he? Isn't he a Geordie?
I think he is a Geordie.
He's a weird one because I never think of him as being a Geordie. I don't even know what he sounds like.
The only thing I know about him is, did you ever listen to there's a podcast done by Dave, a TV channel, which is a TV channel here in
just your mate who owns the garage.
And they just did but they did a football podcast, and they would have people on talk about, and they would ask really weird questions. It's like a comedy one. And apparently Michael Carrick just smells amazing. But multiple people said this, and then I think they had someone on that knew Michael Carrick, and he said, "Yeah, he uses like 5 aftershaves or something like that." So it just always smells amazing.
Yeah. And he played on he was part of the Tottenham team, wasn't he? That got food poisoning from the dodgy lasagna, and he played for something like an hour, and he was like really sick, and then he came off, and he just had to run straight to the dressing room, and then I'm not going to go into detail of what happened, but it wasn't.
Yeah, I can imagine. But I think with Michael Carrick, for United fans in particular, it's when you watch him play, and Spurs and West Ham fans would be able to say the same thing. It's just composure. The guy was ridiculously calm on the ball. He'd be that like just calming influence throughout the side. You could trust him. He was thrown in at centre back quite a few times. There was that game where we went away to Wolfsburg that we got reminded of a couple of weeks ago because everyone's having a go at Liverpool fans.
You kept reminding me of.
It kept coming up, but it was like he would like slot in at centre back. But it wasn't just under Fergie. Louis van Gaal played him at centre back as well, like that. But the passing range in particular was brilliant. And as once Scholes had retired and we never really replaced him, he was kind of the ready-made guy. But the trouble is for United is that he was already over 30 at that point.
Yeah. So, he seemed to be at United for a very long time. Was it there like 10 years?
Oh, it was definitely 10 years. I don't remember what season he retired. I think 3 seasons ago now.
Just seemed to be part of like every United team that I can remember in my lifetime. He's always been there.
He retired in the 17-18 season. He only played twice. So I'm guessing he retired then. But yeah, that's enough Michael Carrick talk. Let's get on to, I guess, another Michael Carrick figure in James Milner.
I think Milner is one of those who he was underrated for a very long time, especially at Man City. I'd say he was very underrated. And when he came to Liverpool originally, I didn't realise how good he actually was. But sort of since Klopp took over, him and Henderson have just kind of skyrocketed. And I think they've gone from underrated to just bang on. I think they deserve all the credit they get.
I think with James, one good James Milner memory doesn't come from Liverpool, but it's the Milner of Munich when City played Bayern Munich, and I think Milner had to play like up front or something.
Gee, I don't even remember that. I thought you were going to say when he got nutmegged by Messi.
I think that wouldn't be a bad memory for a footballer to be able to
Yeah.
say you got to be able to say you got nutmegged by Messi would be a good one. Whilst I look up that Milder Munich thing, let's go to everyone's favourite pundits, Gary Neville.
Is this as a pundit or as a player? What are we doing?
Oh, as a player, I just meant I'm moving on to a few
As a player.
pundits.
Yeah. Well, again, a bit before my time, so I don't think I would have ever properly watched him by a proper 90 minutes, but just for everything that he achieved and the sort of longevity, I think is, again, I won't say underrated because he's regarded as one of the best right backs in the history of the league. I'd probably go bang on again, but again, the decline sort of takes a bit of it away when you see him look that bad against. Do you even remember the name of the West Brom player who like ended his career?
I can't remember the guy's name, but I remember watching a game and then Gary Neville like came off. I was just like, he's done.
Yeah,
It was a terrible performance.
I think the story goes that he wanted to retire the season before, but Fergie convinced him to stay on one more year, and he already knew he was just way past it. I need to try and remember your man's name because it's some random player who I've never heard of.
We're moving from Gary Neville. Let's head off to his best mate and somebody you'll probably have a few more memories of. Is Jamie Carragher.
Yeah, I think I'll go underrated for Carragher. I think he was always sort of. I suppose it depends on what you think a captain should be. Steven Gerrard was a much different character to Carragher. Gerrard kind of led by example. I remember Peter Crouch tells a story of one of his first training sessions where Gerrard's like pinged the ball into him and he's failed to control it. And Gerrard's just given him the daggers. And Crouch knows, right, okay, I need to pick up my levels. Whereas Jamie Carragher would just scream and shout. I can remember being at games, like 45,000 people. You can hear Carragher screaming at Andre Varnon or someone. And for his height, he was under 6 foot, solid defensively, won a Champions League, playing virtually on one leg. Brilliant. Him and Van Dijk would be my dream centre-back partnership.
Oh, he's no Rio Ferdinand.
Literally, completely different people.
Yeah. I'm going to throw one more at you. And it's a player who nearly made it into my other quiz because I can't remember who it was now, but there was an unusual teammate that he had. It's Yossi Bennett.
Ooh, yeah, I'm going to go underrated for Benayoun. I think he gets remembered for the one thing I'd say most people remember Benayoun for is that he's the answer to a really good trivia question, like a good football pub quiz trivia question. He's the only player to score a hat-trick in
the Premier League, Champions League, FA Cup.
And Carling Cup.
And Carrick, I saw that because I can't remember what page it was. Sorry if everyone can hear my dog in the background. He's just decided to start barking. I saw that earlier as well, which is why he made it onto this list. I was like, wow, that's interesting. Because they did one where it was like, who's the only players to do this? And Yossi Bennett was the Liverpool one. And it was like, you had to name the player who was from Liverpool, from Spurs, and from City. The Spurs and the City one, easy, it's Aguero and Kane. And then the Liverpool one, I was like, Torres, no, okay. Suarez, no. Yeah. Okay, reaching here. Peter Crouch, no. A few others. I never made it to Yossi Bennett until I had to give up. And I was like, what?
You never would. And he played in the FA Cup final for West Ham against Liverpool, and he was really good on the day. And I think that was part of the reason as to why we went in for him eventually. And he was a good squad player to have. He was just very good. He's a nice tricky player, good on the ball, very good at dribbling. And I always remember his last minute winner against Fulham, which went on to mean nothing because United walked the league that year. But it was great.
Let's end with everyone's favourite and a guy who we keep sourcing for stories, Peter Crouch.
Yeah. I think I'll go underrated, which I think people kind of, when they think of Peter Crouch, they think more of the character he's sort of built over the years. But he was actually a very good footballer at Liverpool. Even Southampton the season before we signed him, he was very good. He scored against Liverpool. He's an FA Cup winner. He scored the goal that got Tottenham Hotspur into the Champions League for the first time in, I don't even know, at the Etihad. Premier League record for most headed goals, and he's in the 100 club, which no rubbish player gets into the Premier League 100 club.
It's not even a Premier League record, Darragh. You're disrespecting it. It's a Guinness World Record.
Whoa.
He has a Guinness World Record for his headed goals.
I swear the Guinness World Record is most headed goals in the English top flight. It's something stupid like that, where it's not even a world record.
It's not a world record, but it's still pretty funny.
Yeah.
I think with Peter Crouch, did you say he was surprisingly good with his feet, and people didn't really realise that. And he has had some great moments. The goal for Stoke, the big volley.
Yes.
Is ridiculous. The goals for Liverpool, the goals for Spurs in particular.
The hat-trick against Arsenal, if just look up Peter Crouch's hat-trick goal against Arsenal in 2007. The ball comes in from the wing, takes a touch, Ronaldo chops it between his legs, and then finishes on his weak foot. It's class.
Hat-trick for England as well.
Against Jamaica. He scored in a World Cup against Trinidad and Tobago.
Absolute icon. And
controversially.
Great player.
He was very good. Like 2006 to 2007-ish sort of time. And he was the second top goal scorer in the 06-07 Champions League tournament, just behind Kaká.
That's not bad company.
Yeah, pretty good, considering Kaká won the Ballon d'Or that year and went on to win the Champions League. Yeah, pretty good company to be alongside.
That's not bad at all. And guys, we hope we're not bad company to be alongside as we disappear into the podcasting sunset very soon, just before Chelsea destroy Liverpool 5-0.
Oh no!
Goals scored by Reece James.
Who would have thunk it?
It was baffling to watch. We didn't even mention it on the podcast, but that fourth one in particular, stuff of dreams.
What was Van Dijk doing? How did he get on the pitch? He wasn't even in the squad.
Yeah, Klopp wheeling out Van Dijk just on one leg, hopping around. Still great block to deny Werner.
Kabak is just crying there at the back post.
Yeah,
getting bullied by Timo Werner. Well, Nathan, will I finish it off with a Liverpool Chelsea themed trivia question for the week? And it is 6 players in the Premier League era have switched directly between Liverpool and Chelsea. How many can you name of the 6?
Oh, is that for me to do now?
Will we leave it till next week?
Leave it till next week. I'm going to have a think about that. But Darragh, this has been great.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Christensen's last minute winner really was hard to watch. You were brave to get through it. And United, we're going to win the league still. I think we can all live with that.
That'd be brilliant. I'd love that.
That'd be amazing. But guys, you can find me at Nathan Greenaway. You can find Project Dits and all the affiliated podcasts at Project Dits. That's Project DITS. My other comedy podcast, That Ain't Sport, the second episode drops next week, this week coming, depending when this drops. It'll be out soon, but you can find it at That Ain't Sport, or just search That Ain't Sport on any podcast app that you use, and it'll be there. Darragh, where could people shout at you?
Yeah, you can find me, same place as always, on Twitter at Gibbons_Darragh, Darragh DA or AGH.
Good stuff, and we'll be back next week with we'll just talk more Scottish football.
Oh, really? Tell me more.
I will next week.
Okay. Okay, never mind.
No, Paul from Celtic Fan TV will be joining us again next time to just, I guess, share the tear bucket between the three of us.
It'd be very interesting.
All right, guys. Speak to you next week. Bye now.
Good luck.